like when George Floyd, kicked the bucket, we saw a lot of riots happening. I think a lot of the points that Jesus was talking about is that when you saw somebody, get murdered or, overdose, whatever the case is, whatever the argument is with you guys, the point is that the left rioted for 6 months and 30 people died during those riots. With the Charlie Kirk situation, the reaction on the right was you saw a lot of people praying and going to church and
firing people and canceling their free speech.
Okay, we can go into that if you want.
Jake, somebody I reached out to was literally like, I would love to, but I do not want to lose my job. Soyadle, do you know who that is?
That they don't want to lose their job because they didn't want to come on here? Or?
Yeah, but talk about Charlie Kirk. So they're an American.
Mel, can I ask you a general question? It may not seem directly related, but it is. Is there no line to an opinion that you could have that is a reasonable thing to be fired for?
I don't know. Did you apply this logic when, Me Too was happening?
What? Well,
so the question was, is there any opinion that
I'm just asking you, did you apply the same logic while Me Too was happening? If it's a no, it's fine. But like, that's the problem here.
Well, we can answer your question if you want, but when you have a conversation and I ask you a question, you answer the question. You don't ask me a question back. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. But my question is there no limit to, because it's your opinion, it's unreasonable for a boss to an employer to fire you?
Sure, but where were you during Me Too saying that?
Wait, sure what there is or sure what there's not?
Sure there is.
Okay, so if there is, then why is this not one of them?
Because we all needed you to say this kind of stuff during Me Too, but it all seems kind of one-sided from your end.
I don't know. I don't understand the connection between.
All right, to kind of answer that from my point of view, yes, there are absolutely limits. People should be fired if they're condoning violence. I think that's an obvious one. If you want an answer for me on that, I think what Mel is pointing out is that a lot of people who may have been towing a line there didn't deserve to be fired, whether they said that Charlie Kirk, if you're saying Charlie Kirk wasn't a great person, I don't think that's fireable. If you're trying to say something along the lines of, oh, he deserved to die and I'm glad, okay, then I could see if you're somebody who's taking care of people, whether you're a nurse or a doctor or a teacher or somebody who's taking care of people, that could cause some problems for people if they feel uncomfortable if they're on the right side of the spectrum. But I think a lot of that has been conflated to now there's like a database going out there of people being tracked and followed for what they're saying. And I think it's gotten a little bit extreme for what people are trying to do and trying to cancel people for. So I think I agree with Mel on that point, but to your point, yes, there is a limit.
They're not getting killed, right? Like, I agree
so far,
that
no, I know that there have been.
I agree that making a list.
News stations, yeah,
I agree that making a list of all these people is not the best use of time. I completely agree with that. You'll never find me trying to get somebody fired because of even crazy opinions, because I don't know, that's just not the way I operate. But that is not to say that it is okay to celebrate these things. And the reason I asked Mel about having an opinion is we could take it to the extreme. And if you're going to work and let's say you're not even saying it at work, but on your social media, you're talking about how you love CP or you love
something crazy. Yeah, CP is crazy.
Then we all understand that it'd be like, all right, you at the very least you got to take that down or we have to fire you. And so I don't understand why this is a different thing.
Well, maybe because you reframed it, even though I already said yes, there is a line. It's supposed to be the right though who can show that they actually care about that. When the left points out that there is a bunch of sex pests who are in power and we kind of need to hold them accountable instead of just being like, oh, I guess boys will be boys.
Yeah, you should check my channel. I've been raging about that ever since that press conference.
Angry Snowman with $10 super chat. Thank you so much, my friend. He says, why does Mel have a problem with the right playing by the rules the left put in place? They started cancel culture, freedom of speech, not freedom of consequences, right? Mel, that one's to you. You want to respond to that?
Well, first of all, if we're the ones who made the rules and you weren't willing to follow them when we made them, then why should we care about following them when you want to use them? That just seems opportunistic on your part.
And then you didn't actually believe in the principles behind those rules.
No, it just seems opportunistic on your part.
But even if it is, I'll grant you that. Let's say it is that the right is being opportunistic and we don't actually believe in that, but we're going by that. You were already in the position of we believe this. We think that you should be able to get fired if you misgender and things like that. So if you're saying now that shouldn't be the case, then you've been getting behind that principle for a very long time. So were you wrong then, or are you wrong now?
Well, I was wrong then by thinking that taking the high road would necessarily cause you to do better. It turns out that by us taking the high road, we waste a lot of time, a lot of energy and resources, when you get to just say a bunch of memes and a bunch of one-liners that are basically thought-terminating cliches. So I think, the left is actually being savvy with the social media landscape and the political extremism that does occur in this space. We need to weaponize that against you.
Okay, so Mel's on the side of weaponizing that thing. Tyler, go ahead.
Rhetoric. To be clear, weaponizing rhetoric.
Going back
Weaponizing.
going back to what Mel said, I think you are correct that there were definitely some people on Twitter celebrating George Floyd. It probably isn't the majority of Republicans. It probably isn't the majority of the party because Twitter only represents like the daily users, like less than 5% of the United States. But there were definitely some people doing that. I give you that. But you can't take a small group of the worst people, use that to build a monolith of the larger group, and then attack the larger group and say, where the hell were you? Because that's how Islamophobia works. That's how racism works. That's how all of these group-based bigotries work. It's just not a good idea, even though it isn't just as bad as those things. The steps to get there are just as dumb. That being said, you are right to call that out, but the equivalency to George Floyd is George Floyd was a criminal who committed a crime that was being arrested, also left a fentanyl in the back of the police car, whereas Charlie Kirk has never done anything illegal, has never been convicted of a crime, was out there just giving his opinions in a very American debatey sort of way. So there's a bigger impact, and we see that kind of on the world stage. There's been moonlight vigils and candle vigils, and New York Yankee Stadium did a big thing for him, and other sports events.
So did the NFL, yeah.
Yeah, it's just kind of another step in terms of accelerating the temperature. Is now we're going after people just who say things that aren't liked, even if you think there were negative repercussions to what he was saying. He was not directly involved in anything illegal, bad. There was nothing that he did that made
aside from radicalizing political extremists on the right.
Okay, but that's allowed. This is America. Yeah. If you don't like that, you can leave. But that's part of the laws. You're allowed to do that, and getting if you do that, that doesn't justify you getting killed.
Right. So it's I would agree. Just like it doesn't.
So then why is that relevant?
Let me get the YouTube question on play as well too, because a lot of that was being cheered on by Republicans as well. I don't listen to a lot of mainstream like talking heads. I just stick to mostly.
But here's the thing: I'm not the guy who's pulled the trigger.
Yeah, but I don't know.
So that's meaningless to tell me that.
Me too.
I'm not actually endorsing it.
Yeah,
what I am saying though is we can dance the fuck on this grave and even piss on it, because honestly, the guy would have done it to people like me.
That's just untrue.
He doesn't know I exist. So in a realistic sense, isn't untrue.
Yeah, but
in
people have died that he did know they existed, and he didn't dance on their grave.
The fact that he did it for George Floyd, who, by the way, doesn't matter that he's a criminal. We're all fucking criminals. So most of us, most Americans, when surveyed, admit to committing at least some sort of crime. And so none of us are innocent.
Well, I mean, I would say we might be offenders, but criminals is a different category, Mel.
How dare you? Yeah,
like speeding. Like if I get a ticket for speeding, I'm not a criminal.
They got caught because policing is disproportionately higher in black neighborhoods. Good point. But no,
I used a different example.
How dare you judge your brothers and sisters based on something that you would do yourself?
Okay. So as far as your comment goes, when it comes to like we're all criminals, first off, like I think there's plenty of people here that are offenders. Like if you speed and you get a ticket or something like that, that's offenders. But we're not. That what?
Did you rob a grocery store to keep your family fed?
I've never robbed a grocery store to keep my family fed. No.
Hypothetical
or a church where they give you food.
Do not handle hypotheticals.
Oh, nobody here probably would do that.
So yes. The answer to the question is yes, but that is an irrelevant hypothetical because of the fact.
Well, arguably, George Floyd was selling fentanyl to feed his family.
So he couldn't get a job? No, come on. Exactly. We're in America here.
Actually, where you live, employment can be very accessible or not very accessible.
Aladdin just trying to feed his family with fentanyl. Let's not think about the people that are dying from that fentanyl.
At least he's not robbing a bank.
George Floyd needed to feed his family, and the only way in America to do that is
like political extremists,
counterfeit bills.
At least he's not creating political extremists who actually will shoot up schools.
I would argue in the exact opposite. I bring you back to the summer of love.
America. Okay, let's unpack what I said.
an extreme amount of people.
Well, no, it's
You disagree that cities were burned down in that summer?
here. Let me show you what you're supposed to do when someone makes an
You
outrageous
disagree
statement.
that
You
cities
unpack
were
it,
burned-
right?
You
So I
disagree that
said-
cities were
I said
burned
that-
down in that summer?
I said that,
You
that
disagree.
America's going to have more school
Okay, so you just
shootings
go, I'll
if
just
you have
answer the
somebody who
question
keeps
when you're done.
radicalizing people, right? And so the obvious question then becomes, does America have a school shooting problem? Yes, it does. Does America have political extremists radicalizing people and touting gun culture? Yes, they do. Still correlation. Do these things tend to rise with the more right-wing extremist rhetoric? Yes, they do. So I would posit that there is a very strong chance that there is causation with people saying things like, you need to go out there. This is actually, no, it's more of a Fuentes quote. I'm not gonna misquote him because that is a Fuentes quote. But basically, by standing within the same line of those people, radicalizing them from one side or the other towards minorities, towards a distraction wedge issue, we've created people who think that shooting up schools is the issue.